So, day 3, we went from Salt Lake area down to Bryce Canyon National Park in Utah. We camped at, it was like Sunset Campground or something like that. And then that day we decided, I think we got there at like noon or something. Decided to go for a hike. So the first hike we went for was Fairyland Trail. So we went down that. It was probably 3 miles or something like that, 3.5 miles out and back. And along the way, we saw these really cool rock formations that Bryce is famous for, like the hoodoos, and then these. This is right next to the trail. It's just this hole in rock in sandstone. And I had a polarizer on at the time, and I got these two photos back to back, and it was crazy that these two, they're both taken with exactly the same exposure, pretty much the same exposure, ISO 100, 135 millimeters, f8, and 1/200th of a second. I think maybe, actually no, the exposure did differ between the two, but they're taken at the same time under the same lighting conditions. That's what I'm trying to say. So, and the only difference between them is the polarizer and its effect it had on the photo. So the one on the left is taken without a polarizer. As you can see, it's darker on the outside of the rocks because they're in shadow, and then the sky, which is bright, is bright. But then the one on the right is the exact opposite. It's like the negative of that photo. The rocks on the outside are white and bright, and then the sky is really dark. And this is because of the effect the polarizer has. I was shooting, if I remember right, almost 90 degrees in relation to the sun, so perpendicular, and that is where the polarizer has the most effect. Once it's turned all the way, so it's cutting out as much light as possible, the sky is basically black, because all that blue color, as you hopefully know, is blue light being reflected and refracted around in the sky, and then bounce back to our eyes. All the other light rays go out into space. So once you cut out that blue with the polarizer, it looks dark with, the sky. You can't see air. It's basically invisible, so you'd see all the way in outer space, which is black, so the sky gets darker. And the effect it has on the exposure, it makes the whole image darker, so the camera thinks, oh, I need to make the image brighter. And that way you get the rock on the outside, which is normally dark, you get it to be bright. So it's exactly the same photo under exactly the same lighting conditions, but by adding in that one element of polarizer, you can get two photos that are completely and utterly different. That's the power that a polarizer can have on your image. It can completely alter how it looks. Editing these two, it doesn't come up with any of the settings right there. So I'll just go through, find the originals. So it looks like I didn't really do anything to that one, but this one, I upped the contrast a bit to give it more punch, raised the shadows, and then the highlights a little bit, and of course converted it to black and white. So to give it a little more punch overall, brightened up the shadows a little bit. That's about it. So original, didn't do anything to that one. Original's that, but so the tonal range is pretty much exactly the same. So I didn't really change that much. So the effect is still, even with editing, the effect is still very, very apparent. So that was day 3.